Did the old prophets actually meet angels on top of mountains? Or were they highly intelligent beings from a galaxy far, far away? Welcome to Ufology, where we explore the truth about alien life. Because let's face it, we're not alone, and the evidence is everywhere. In today's video, we'll take a look at a few cases involving aliens impregnating humans. We've touched briefly on this when we discussed alien hybrids in other videos. Numerous prominent figures throughout history may have been alien hybrids. This includes figures like Pharaoh Akhenaten and various Chinese kings. Did aliens just use cloning technology to create these hybrids? Or did they have offspring with human women? The second option seems more likely based on the accounts we'll be covering. If you're interested in knowing more, let's get right into the video. First, we have the Eerie Case of an 18th century woman who gave birth to rabbits. Mary Toft was a poor man's wife living in 1726. When she was several weeks pregnant with her fourth child, she was weeding in a field. Toft caught sight of a rabbit. Spotting the chance of a free dinner, she chased it. The animal escaped her grasp, but she couldn't get it out of her mind. According to Toft's account, for the next few weeks, she developed an unnatural craving for rabbit meat and all sorts of rabbit dishes. Unfortunately for Toft, it could never be satisfied on her family's small income. Eventually, she moved on with her life, but the ordeal wasn't over. 4 months later, Toft became ill. It seemed like she was going into premature labor. But instead of delivering a baby, a series of strange objects emerged from Toft's body. She gave birth to what appeared to be a pig's bladder, then a cat's paw and head, and afterward, rabbits, one after the other. This occurred over 2 or 3 weeks. By the time her midwife reported the case to the distinguished doctors in London, he had delivered 11 rabbits. The doctors soon arrived, bearing a skeptical attitude. In the presence of these doctors, she gave birth to another 4 rabbits. Observers noted how her distended belly was trembling vigorously. It was as if the rabbits were forming on the spot and leaping out of her womb. After giving birth to the 15th rabbit, Mary Toft had a seizure. No more rabbits were born following that. News of this case traveled quickly around London. Some believed it, citing a commonly held belief at the time that women could influence their pregnancies via thoughts. Others also claimed it was a supernatural occurrence. A god or some extraterrestrial being could have blessed her with strange gifts. There were skeptics too, of course. According to a report, a porter at the house Toft rented spilled the beans. He claimed that she had bribed him to insert pieces of rabbit into her body. After much speculation and investigation, Mary Toft confessed under duress. A doctor had threatened to cut her womb open to examine it. Because of this, she admitted it was a hoax. But was her confession genuine? She was a poor woman brought to the city, all alone, with numerous authority figures seeking to use her for their own objectives. Her low status also meant a lot of rumors and scrutiny were directed against her by the media. This could have influenced her to confess falsely to escape from it all. Was she manipulated by the people around her? Or maybe her pregnancy with rabbits was genuine? If it was, the question remains, how did they get into her womb to begin with? We've heard of stories involving lizard aliens. Maybe these rabbit-like creatures were experiments from another alien faction. Speaking of experiments, our second case involves a couple, Betty and Barney Hill. They claim they were experimented on by aliens. While the wife was not impregnated, the aliens attempted to do so. It was September 1961. Betty and Barney Hill were driving through New Hampshire's White Mountains. It was late at night. As they drove down a deserted road, a strange light in the sky seemed to follow them. When they finally got home to Portsmouth at dawn, they were far from relieved. They felt dirty, their watches stopped working, Barney's shoes were scuffed, and Betty's dress was ripped. There were 2 hours of the drive that neither of them could remember. Barney also felt compelled to examine his body's lower half. What had happened? Neither of them could answer that question. For a year, Betty suffered from disturbing dreams, and Barney developed an ulcer due to anxiety. Deciding this was too much to cope with, the couple sought mental help. They underwent hypnosis, revealing a startling story. Gray beings with large eyes had walked them into a metallic flying disc. This disc was as wide as their house was long. Once inside, the beings examined the couple and erased their memories. The Hills were then separated, taking turns in an examination room. Each was asked to climb up on a metal table. The table was so short, Barney's legs hung over the side. The beings removed Betty and Barney's clothes, plucked strands of their hair, took clippings of their nails, and scraped their skin. Each sample was placed on a clear material similar to a glass slide. After that, the aliens probed them with long needles connected to wires. One large needle was inserted into Betty's belly, causing her some pain. She claimed this was a pregnancy test. Throughout all this, a being they called the Leader watched from the side. After Betty's examination ended, the beings rushed back into her room, excited. They had discovered that Barney's teeth could be removed. Betty laughed and explained the concept of dentures to them. The aliens seemed to have trouble understanding human aging. Fortunately for the couple, they were too old to have any children. The aliens released them after further tests. If aliens have interacted with humanity all along, why would they struggle to understand human aging? Some suggest these visitors were from a rival or newcomer faction. This is supported by all the tests they had to do to understand human bodies. One woman was not as lucky though, and had to give birth to 48 alien hybrid babies. In May 2001, 24-year-old Megan Liker married her husband. They wanted to have a child, but Megan could not get pregnant. After extensive tests, it turned out that Megan was infertile due to the deterioration of her reproductive organs. The doctor stated she had given birth many times, despite Megan having no memory of ever doing so. One doctor suggested she undergo hypnosis to bring out repressed memories. During this procedure, Liker told the doctors an incredible story that shocked them. She was walking along the alley of the city park when a UFO hovered over her. Before Liker could run, it sucked her up in a beam of light. Liker fainted and woke up in a dark room, which soon had its lights turned on. She was able to make out humanoid silhouettes. Like the creatures in Betty Hill's story, the ones who kidnapped Megan Liker were small. They had short bodies, slender arms and legs, and large heads. Liker was soon taken to a place that looked like a surgery room and examined. They later transferred her to a transparent holding cell, through which she could see other women in nearby cells. 2 weeks later, her belly began to grow round, and she gave birth within a few months. As soon as the child was born, it was immediately taken away. Megan managed to catch a glimpse of her child before that. What she saw left her disgusted. According to Megan, her hybrid baby looked like a human baby, but with huge eyes. After a few days, they repeated the examination, and another pregnancy followed. The gestation times for hybrid babies were short, never exceeding 4 months. This continued for over 4 years until she became sterile from producing 48 hybrids. Megan was then returned to Earth to live out her life without realizing what had happened. These are 3 of the most reported cases of alien abduction and even impregnation, and there may be many more that remain covered up. It's chilling to think of why the aliens are trying to produce hybrids. Maybe they need to repopulate, or maybe it's a scheme to place them among us and assume control. Someday, we'll find the real answers. Make sure to comment below on what your thoughts are, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to tune in next week.